कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेव भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजध्वा स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुं षष्ठनोभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदाद्युः ॐ स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृत्तश्रवः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदा स्वस्ति नर्ताक्षो वरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ
Yoga is an invaluable gift of ancient Indian tradition. It embodies unity between the body and mind, thought and action, restraint and fulfillment, harmony between man and nature, and a holistic approach to health and well-being. In its resolution, the UNGA recognized the holistic approach of yoga and approved the proposal with a record 177 co-sponsoring countries to establish 21st June as the International Day of Yoga. In celebration of this special day, our university organized a week-long program through CITER with various multifaceted activities, including a public awareness program with free yoga therapy consultations and lecture demonstrations in collaboration with Pondicherry Yogasana Association at our city center, MGMCRI City Center, on the 21st of June. And following this, yoga awareness programs were conducted for more than 600 staff and students of the constituent colleges of SBVU from 22nd to 25th of June. And today, we are all here for the culmination of this week-long program with the National Seminar and CME on therapeutic potential of yoga.
I think we need a change of mindset among practitioners of various health professions, medicine, nursing, dentistry. There is a room for everybody, for occupational therapists, physiotherapists. All can benefit from adopting yoga concepts to improve wellness. So globally renowned figures here, starting from Ammaji and our own CITER experts and the invited experts from everybody, and I am sure the deliberations will be of use to all the people who are concerned with healthcare and health preventive efforts.
I would like to ask 3 questions of those of you who have this interest in yoga therapy particularly. And this is something that puzzles me because, and this is why I really don't have interest in yoga therapy, because I don't know the answers to these questions. I don't know what to do. When someone comes to me and says, I have a heart problem, I have a back problem, I have a wife problem, I have a husband problem, I have a child problem, I have this problem, I have that problem. I could tell them what Swamiji said. Swamiji used to say, who has problems? And everybody would raise their hands. And Swamiji would say, you don't have any problems. He would say, you do not have any problems. You are the problem. That's all he would say. And it's so true, isn't it? We are our problem. When we find out who we are, then there's no problem, is it? When we find out that. So that's what yoga is all about. The main question in yoga, of course, is, who am I? Koham. Koham. Well, I can tell you the answer for that. It's soham, but that doesn't help much, does it? Doesn't help too much. Koham. Who am I? So perhaps as therapists, when someone comes, you should say, who are you? And ask the patient to try to find out who they are.
What does the national policy of Indian systems of medicine say? Very much the same thing. There are any number of documents in the public domain which encourage, which plead, which push us, which force us to go in this direction, but you don't find many people doing this. I am very glad to say that we are the first health university in the country to promote this in a big way, because We don't want to compete and do stem cell research like everybody else. We need resources. JIPMER can do that. They have got money. Yoga research doesn't require that much money. And therefore we can go into those areas which are the need of the population rather than compete with those who are much wealthier than us. So there are guidelines. MCI in 1997 has said yoga should be part of the curriculum of physiology. How many years ago was that? 18 years. And we are one of the very few colleges in India, I don't really know how many have done it, which has formally introduced yoga in undergraduate curriculum.
Now, I am going to talk about the psychosomatic mechanism and their role in health and disease in general. Then what is yoga? And as ideal body-mind medicine and work done so far. Many places and in India also. Now, psychosomatic mechanisms and their role in health and disease. Now, we already know mind and body relationship. It's both ways. Mind affects body and body mind. So this is called psychosomatic. And even the Charak Samhita has mentioned in the Sutra Sthanam, Sattam Atma Shariram Cha Tremev Siddhandavat. You know, modern medicines are mainly physical, body. This is body, it has a mind, may have soul also. But Charak says, Sattam is inner cell, which mind includes that. Subtle body, Atma. And Shariram Cha, body also. So that is the other way they say. Tremev, the threefold. And that's why it is holistic. Ayurveda is holistic. Modern medicine is not. Yoga is holistic. So anyway, body-mind is there. There are this bi-directional interaction between mind and body. That's important. So now mind-body medicine has already started. We have mind-body institutes in US, other countries. And so using mind in conjunction with the body to assist healing process. That's the aim of yoga, Ayurveda also. It is the aim of modern medicine in the future, very soon. Now, so bi-directional, reciprocal interaction at many levels. Not only mind, you can say brain from our point of view. Brain and body, various organs. You get after brain gets appearance, brain gives difference. And not only that, at brain level also, right and left, prefrontal lobe and subcortical area, limbic system. Within prefrontal lobe, various parts, they have bidirectional interaction. And that is what is important for that maintains your health. If there is no proper interaction, then disease. So the influence of physiology maintain homeostasis, that is the balance, and thereby determine our physical and mental health or ill health, whatever it is. Now, indices of this integration, how we measure? Of course, there are so many indices still coming up. The autonomic status, which can be measured by vagal tone, HRV, is very common nowadays. Hormonal immune status and markers of inflammation. This is already going on nowadays. Now, mind-body interaction, they promote homeostasis, very important. Enhance mental well-being, reduce stress, depression, cycles are there. And very common. Everybody has some sort of stress and depression. Improve physiological functions like the cardiac function, respiratory function, pulmonary muscle function, all functions. Autonomic function, they improve. Improve glucose tolerance, thereby good for diabetes, isn't it? Coronary artery disease, hypertension, and modulate neuroendocrine, immune and inflammatory response by mind-body interaction. Many mind-body therapies are already very popular now. West also, India also. Ayurveda is one of them. Ayurveda is actually the physical medicine, but mind-body is very, very important. But you have mainly this psychological techniques like that. And a wide range of potential benefits are there, and lot of people use chronically ill patients because modern medicine we are not able to treat them. Hypertension, diabetes, coronary artery, arthritis, whole lifelong treatment is there. So many of them take mind-body therapies. And yoga is the most ancient, but most modern, most scientific, most effective mind-body therapy now. And so if you elucidate scientific basis of these mechanisms of mind-body therapy, then they'll become more acceptable. So that's our now this duty. Now let us see what are the physiological basis of this mind-body therapy, which I have already given you some hint. Now the concept is that top-down. Suppose I am doing meditation, hypnosis, they are doing it. It acts mainly on the body, it is mind, brain, and then body. Now yoga techniques also, meditation is there also, it is top down. Or you have kriyas also. So from periphery goes to mind. Now when I'm doing say yoga practice, for example, you know physical exercise, yoga, what difference is there? So you have seen Surya Namaskar and the yoga technique. Bending down, breathing out. Bending up, by the time I'm up, breath is also full. So breath body coordination is there. That is yoga. There is full harmony. And then mind also. I am not seeing outside. I am doing the practice. And I am fully observing. The movement is there, breath is there, breath, body, mind coordination. 3 in 1. That is yoga. Yoga is union, coordination, harmony.
Considering that this is an allopathic hospital with training in MBBS for allopathic doctors, concurrently adding yoga is going to be a great example to all the medical colleges to follow and to be able to integrate this very, very helpful interventional medical practice into our curriculum of MBBS. In fact, having worked with the Ayush department, although I am not from the Ayush medical stream, I am from the MBBS allopathic stream, having worked with the Ayush department for trying to develop some guidelines to integrate the Ayush systems into the allopathic system, this example of this particular college I will be citing in future very often, that it has set an example as to how we can actually start integrating this into our curriculum. I wish you all the very best, and I hope you will become extremely successful and to be a model for such integration to be used all over the country.
So this is Samasthiti, musculoskeletal health. This is the art of standing. What happens is when we stand, we don't pay any attention to how we stand. Tadasana is samatva, samatvam yoga uchyate, balancing on the right and left, front and back, from the ankles, knees, hips, spine, all has to be in one line. That is Samasthiti. Shoulders rolling back, sternum lifted. This is a seat of confidence. In elderly people you see, kyphosis comes, sternum sinks, there is depression, there is fear, and this leads to various disabilities. We have seen cognitive decline also is one of the part and parcels of aging. Can you avoid it? This is an anti-aging posture. In addition to cognitive decline in the elderly, when you bend, what happens is this sinks and there is fear. You will see elderly, they don't walk with their leg, they seek support. So you have to be firm and established on your feet. This is Utthita Hasta Padasana, Parshva Hasta Padasana, and let me show Trikonasana. Now certain differences I will make a mention, that there is no muscular contraction in any of the yogic postures. Virabhadrasana, 2 followed by Parshva Konasana. So this is a square, and the quadriceps and the hamstrings are gripping my femur and they are extending. I have the tape, but unfortunately we don't have the time. So you see that muscles don't shorten. Shortening of muscles is a disease. This is Parshva Konasana. Now see, I am extending from the little toe to the little finger, a single stretch, ekatanada dhyanam. So asanas are dhyana also. Then you have Virabhadrasana 1. You work on all the joints, all the musculoskeletal aspects, musculoskeletal structures for developing them.
How to live well. Like in the morning somebody said, we don't want to only deal with disease, we want to be well. Yoga is that science which tells us how to live well. And yoga's actually original purpose was to focus on the development of an individual in different dimensions, in healing and in spiritual dimension as well. I don't know if some of you know Sanskrit or Tamil words as well. In Sanskrit and Tamil we say Vyadhi for disease. The word vyadhi comes from Sanskrit. The word vyadhi literally means V plus adi, disconnection from the self. That is vyadhi. So what is then health? Health must be connection to oneself. That is what yoga says, samadhi. Samadhi means an intense connection to the self. So basically, when we say in yoga, we are trying to achieve samadhi, it is not that somebody is closing the eyes in a cave or in a mountain and trying to float in the sky. It actually means let us try to achieve good health. That is what is the meaning of yoga. And yoga was not alone, it was functioning along with systems like Ayurveda. For many years, the diagnostic system of yoga and Ayurveda are very, very similar. There are some very similar approaches in solutions as well. Slight differences are also there, but there is a very, very common ground between yoga and Ayurveda. Yoga is not only about physical exercises. Our wonderful Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who initiated this yoga day, the National Yoga Day, when he talked to the public, he made one statement. He said, if yoga was only about doing physical exercises in a very good way, then even circus wala will be a yogi. But that's not true. Circus man is not a yogi. So yoga involves something more than just physical exercises.
First of all, I would like to thank the organizers to give me an opportunity to sit in front of you. Sir, integrating yoga in physical therapy practice is a wonderful thing. As such, physical therapy practice involves exercises. So exercises means a physical form of activity which our ancient rishis have spoken about in form of asanas, which has been widely discussed earlier in the past 4 or 5 days. As such, when we try to teach somebody some sort of exercises, we have a definite purpose, sir. In this process, physical therapy present practice has got a very a limited amount of aims and objectives. But whereas if a therapist has some amount of knowledge about yogasanas, with its psychological implications and the philosophical background, it is easy for the physical therapist to address not just the physical part of a problem. For example, some patient comes with back pain. See, low back pain as such, it's a syndrome. It's not just an entity where you experience pain. Pain is not the only entity. It has got so many 1 to 25 innumerable problems. And as any two conditions are not similar, it is difficult to address all the patients in a group. So as a physical therapist, after a detailed interview and evaluation and a careful evaluation where you find it's a muscular imbalance, or it is a tactile difficulty, or there is a disconnectivity between the mental picture and the physical attitude, physical posture, it is very easy for the physical therapist to incorporate the philosophical background of yogic concepts in putting down to physical therapy practice, in bringing about a homeostasis from the physical and the mental aspect of any patients for that matter. Becomes to be very handy, sir. Like it's very, very useful.
Yoga, do you think, could be useful in the integration? Is it more like the asanas or the mudras, or which part of it do you think?
Sir, everything for that matter, sir. Everything. For example, you see the common form of thing nowadays, a software professional, everybody has got a neck pain. I can definitely say here in this crowd, I could pick up more than 50% will have a neck pain. For that matter, I can say everybody's neck is placed in different attitudes. Positions. So if for me to correct the neck pain, I need to bring about a good amount of self-appraisal of your position. Okay, we call it as proprioception. So to bring about proprioception, I need to practice a mudra. I usually practice Brahma Mudra. Brahma Mudra is one thing which can bring about muscular control. Not only muscular control, muscular balance, joint position sense, and when you practice with mantra, then it has got whole lot of control on your own self, and whatnot. The last and the best part is the breath. You are aware of where the neck is. So just by the practice of Brahma Mudra, I'm able to control. I'm not saying I'm eradicating, I'm stopping, I'm curing. I never use that word. I'm able to bring about awareness. See, my neck pain is caused because of my own faulty position. If I understand that, I can easily tackle it. If I don't know, I keep jumping to doctors and physical therapists. I keep jumping to modalities and medicines, and there's no end to it. So the awareness part of it, every part of yoga can be integrated, can be converted into a useful module therapeutically, and it can fetch rich benefits for the patients.
I think that's very beautiful. You know, you yourself are starting to understand that if I have a neck pain, as Mohana Krishnan was saying, you know, by understanding that, okay, I can modify my position, that itself you're already starting to empower yourself. And I think it is a very beautiful concept, because I know of many of the patients at JIPMA and in other places who have benefited, especially frozen shoulder. I believe he's been doing a lot of work with neck pain, back pain. And I think this type of usage, as Dr. Prakash Rao was telling, you know, the physician of the future is going to have to know at least a little bit of, I think, everything. Because this is what people are going to want. They want that you are going to give them something that will help them. And whether it comes from allopathy, whether it comes from physical therapy, homeopathy, yoga, what they want is to feel that sense of wellness. And I think even because survival of the fittest, that those who have this combination, they are going to start surviving more, and people who see that say, okay, that is the way to survive, and they'll automatically pick it up.
And I have seen that this MGMC has injected CYTER in its campus. But I want to know when the hospitals will integrate yoga and create yoga centers, so that specialists will refer the patient to the yoga expert in his own area. Suppose there are 10-15 departments in this hospital.
Yes.
For the departments, the specialist will have to refer to the yoga expert, to the patient apart from his own medication. And that yoga expert will conduct yoga classes, whether in his own premises or within the hospital itself. And then this yoga can see the light of the day. Because yoga so far, and now there are so many colleges, diploma holders, degree holders, doctorates, PhDs, what they will do? They cannot, they are not so lucky as Dr. Ananda, Dr. Meena or Ammaji, who have the base, who can thrive on their own strength.
Yes.
And who else can do it better than the hospitals?
Yes.
All over the country or the world, where they have to integrate, this is the best way, I thought, where yoga has to be nurtured by the specialist.
Yes.
And
Being an example for other medical colleges and hospitals, that they can also have a sighter in their premises. And in fact, today our Vice Chancellor, after the inauguration, was telling us that within the next 3 months, he wants to have a special program inviting all the colleges to come, so that this type of module can be started in other colleges. So we are on that cusp of the wave, and with the support of our management, our Vice Chancellor and our Dean, I'm sure that this type of movement will happen.
And it is really nice, and everything went on well, and we have learnt a lot, even at this age. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you
I
very
congratulate all the participants, and thanks for giving this opportunity.
For this event, many people have contributed physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, socially, spiritually. And so I thank each and every one from the bottom of our heart for their unique contribution. We have been focusing on how each person is unique, their needs are unique, their capacities are unique, and I think what each individual can give for the sake of the whole, the completeness, that is also unique. So we thank each and every one who has contributed their unique contribution for this event to make it a grand success. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामय सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ